This is 4.5. B as in boy, the second video on fractions and decimals. And what we're going to do is we're going to begin this by looking at example 4. And we're doing, last video we showed how to convert fractions to decimals, and this one we're going to do decimals to fractions. And we've already done this before in some of the previous videos where we had like 0.38, and the quick and easy way to change a decimal to a fraction is you find out the place value of the last number. In this case, the 8 is in the hundreds. So we put 100 on the bottom, and we put everything to the right of the decimal above the 100. And then at this point, we reduce. And you know how to reduce there. If I'm given 0.075 and they say write that as a fraction, that is in the thousands position. So 1,000 goes down here and 75 goes on top. And then I reduce from there. If I am asked to take a number that is not just a decimal, but it has a whole number in front of it, so like 15.6. Again, this decimal is a dividing line. All we're going to look at here, we're going to change it to a fraction. It's in the tens position, and the 15 just goes along for the ride. So we have 15 and 6/10, and then we just reduce the fraction. 15 doesn't do anything, but we reduce that to 3/5, and we're done. All right, there will be some times where you've got both fractions and decimals, and you can pretty much do it either way. Kind of depends on what the instructions are asking. But when you're given an example like example number 7, they give us 19 over 50. And they're saying they want you to multiply that by 1.32 plus 0.48. All right, so what I would suggest doing is, if you've got decimals that are together and you can do things like add or multiply them, do that while they're still decimals. Don't worry about having one group decimals and one part of it being a fraction. And what am I going to do here? Do the decimal parts first. Add those together, and when I add those together, I get 1.8. Leave that in parentheses, and then I've got my 19 over 50. So now I have a choice here. I can either change this to a fraction, or I can change this to a decimal. If you've got your handy-dandy calculator, the easiest thing to do would be to change this to a decimal and then multiply it by this decimal, because your calculator will very quickly and easily change. You just do 19 divided by 50 and you get 0.38, and then multiply that by 1.80, and now that's going to equal 0.684. So now I was able to combine both fractions and decimals. Notice, you can't necessarily combine those two together. You had to make one of them a decimal so that they both end up being decimals, or make one of them a fraction so that you could multiply the two fractions. And sometimes the instructions may say, in order to do this, make them both fractions or make them both decimals. They may give you some particulars, but that one didn't, and example 8 does not. It gives you 1/2 plus 0.75 times 2 over 5. So right now I've got this to deal with. And I can do another little tip here. You can take 2 divided by 5 and get 0.4. Get that. Okay, so that's a real quick and easy way to do it. And then multiply 0.75 times 0.4 and get 0.3. And then add 1/2 to it. And you can change your 1/2 then to 0.5. 1 divided by 2 is 0.5. And you get 0.8. So that's pretty quick and painless to do. Another method that we could do in order to solve this, and it just kind of depends on what you want to do. We could have 1/2 plus 0.75. I'm just rewriting this again for 2/5, and I can take this here, multiply, pretend like this is over 1, multiply these two together, 0.75 times 2, and then divide by 5. And that works, so you're not even writing anything, you're just taking your calculator and taking 0.75 times 2, you got 1.5 divided by 5, and that gives you 0.3, and then add 1/2, which is 0.5, and you get 0.8. So that's another method of doing that, getting the same answer. When you jump up to ones like example 9, it gets a little bit hairy here. They have 1/2 cubed times 2.4 plus 1/4 squared times 3.2. Okay, so it may look a little complicated, but it's really not. You just do one little bit at a time. So you take 1/2 cubed. So 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So we cubed that 1/2. Multiply that by 2.4. Now again, you can multiply these two and get 2.4, and then divide by the 8 here, and that saves you from doing a lot of work, and that gives you 0.3. And we're going to go over here, and I get 1/4 squared is 1/16 times 3.2. And again, I can take this, 3.2 times 1 is 3.2, divided by 16 is 0.2, and get for an answer 0.5. So calculators come in real handy for this, switching back and forth between a fraction and a decimal. Now example number 10 is a story problem. A pair of pants normally sells for $31.95. Put a decimal there and a dollar sign. And it's on sale for 1/3 off. What is the price of the pants? Well, if I take 31.95, and I'm wondering what 1/3 of that is. Of means multiply. So I take 31.95 times 1/3, so I can multiply these two and divide by 3, and that gives me $10.65. Now, this is a key part right here. That $10.65 is the 1/3 we're taking off. It's not how much you're paying for the pants, it's the amount you save on the pants. So to find out how much the pants cost, we're going to have to take the original price and take 1/3 off and get $21.30 for the pair of pants. Okay, so that is 4.5 lecture.